Greetings, this is Paul, and I am teaching 12 total lessons of working with a computer that is using Windows XP. And Windows XP is a very long-standing operating system on the computer. However, I don't like to refer to Windows XP as an operating system. It's still a DOS machine, and Windows XP is the operating environment. So with that in mind, we are into Unit 11. You can do these lessons in any order you want. However, what I want to talk to you today about is the web. The web is something that everybody in the classroom is somewhat interested in. Those who have no experience with the computer, they're anxious to get some kind of email and be able to be on board in that kind of sense. We envy the younger people that they are, well, this is child's play to many people, and they just wing at it and get a lot out of it. They're happy playing certain number of games or whatever they're interested in and moving on with what they want to do. Meanwhile, we have adults that are really confounded by it and don't have any idea of what is going on with their computer. To begin with, it's a good idea to know where the web came from. Well, way back in the 40s and into the 50s, there was a group of people that was putting together a set of components in a large, several floors of a warehouse where they had nothing but whole rows of buses that held a series of tubes, and all over the warehouse it was all brought together in an operating room. And what happens with that is that they were able to have the first computer by addressing each one of these buses and having the tubes turned on or off for its coding. Now, this was put together by the use of a stereo, and when they put on a song, they would code the computer to be ready to accept information to the sound of music, and it would be done in a reasonable length of time. With much practice, this first computer came about to be able to address some envelopes as a mailing list, to be able to put out a mass mailing in a very reasonable short period of time. This was so successful that they thought that this country, the United States, could use 2 or maybe 3 with major companies that are housed here in our country, and they would be able to improve their operations with the use of such a component. However, using all these tubes, as you would realize, tubes always did burn out. And it was true with this first computer. On a daily practice, there was a tube burning out at least 3 or 4 times a day, and they would have technicians on every floor that as soon as this went on, why, they would go out and try to locate the burned out tube. Just as extra information here, one day they had the machine go down, and the technicians went out looking for this burned out tube and couldn't find any. So they went and checked the whole system again. Much time was being lost. Well, then they got down to the nitty-gritty and found out that there was a cockroach that cross-circuited. It burned itself up in the circuitry, and what happened was it caused the machine to go down. So now we come about with getting the bugs out. And that phrase has stuck with programmers ever since. Then there was an important election coming along, and that was where, towards the end of the 50s, we were able to vote in a World War II veteran and hero, that of Eisenhower. Dwight David Eisenhower was known as Ike, and his campaign was I Like Ike. Very disappointing was that at the end of his two-term presidency, he was mocked as a nothing president. Well, he was anything but a nothing president, but he worked very quietly. The Cold War was on, and here in the United States, we took that threat very seriously, and if there should be an attack on New York City, then we would have to get troops there very quickly. So Ike was able to take a survey and see that there was a lot of bits and pieces around different states in the form of what they called turnpikes. And these turnpikes was the start of an idea where he had them plan to link each state together by these turnpikes and continue right on into New York City and other important cities across our nation, that if there should be a threat actually taking place, that he would be able to get troops there in a hurry. Well, there was another problem going on. If we were going to get troops mobilized as quickly as possible, there had to be a better way than by messenger. So he devised a way that there could be a confidential information be sent in the form of what is now developed into computers. And with these computers, they link different bases together to be able to get the message out to mobilize and have them go to the place of necessity for the defense of our nation. Thus, we had the start of email. Now, in the 60s, we have a president that with none other than Kennedy, and he became a very popular president. And as far as the web is concerned, why, it was a great idea to link all of the universities the same way to exchange information among each other and improve our education system. So that was one of his big thrusts, is to get people educated a little bit better in our nation than what they've been. So now we have the advancement of all these big Ivy League universities to be able to link together and develop their curriculum around the sharing of all of them instead of all of them working on their own. Now, it was into the 70s before I came on board with computers, and that was when my personal development was from reading a book. At that time, all of the books came along with your programs, and you were able to sit down and study and be able to make sense of how to operate many of these programs, especially with data processing. I would sit down over my lunch hour and study up on it, and within about a year I started teaching. However, at that time there was also a series of what was called bulletin boards with hobbyists going around the area. Now, each hobbyist would have multiple phone lines brought into their home where different people could leave messages. And they would hang up after leaving their message, and somebody else would call in and pick up their messages and be able to make a reply the same way. Now, this bulletin board was, you could say that it was the start of social networking. However, when I got it all together and I had my bulletin board up and running, I was able to have an idea come to me that I would like to present to people how to connect with the computer club that I had going and events that were going on, and also the special interest presentation of different programs. So I went to work and I developed something like this, and lo and behold, I was able to bring this up and present it over the telephone lines in the form of using a bulletin board style connection and be able to have a social network with programming. At this point, AOL came online, and here we had the start of the web as we start to know it today. However, it was the very beginnings of it, and they presented email and all kinds of different functions, and this was made nationwide. So then we had the start of providers going across the web to be able to connect in with AOL and other interests that was also connected on the web. So with this, we had communication going nationwide, and we had news stories added to it, and the development of the incorporation of email, just like back at Eisenhower started, but now it was coming to the individual. Now today, for the average user, their first taste of the web is getting to a library or going somewhere to have a connection either with a friend or different services, and acquiring an email address. We have providers for that, such as AOL. We also have AIM. We also have different ones that are like Yahoo. Oh, there's a whole bunch of them. I even have one that is a referral to follow me wherever I have my web address. If I get a different provider, I keep the same forwarding and have an account with Bigfoot. So there is a lot of things going on, and most of the people are familiar with their email. It has become very popular even with cell phones, because now we also have messaging or text messaging, which is very similar to the bulletin boards of time ago. And so this has been the development of how we became acquainted with the web, where it came from, and an idea of where it's going. And it will continue to develop much faster than anybody can keep up with. Now, I haven't developed a whole lot of slides for this presentation. It could be converted over later on for the slides that would be appropriate for this little discussion, but it is an account of how the web was developed right in my own lifetime. After all, at the beginning of all of this, each university and each school was dependent totally on their own resources. Homeschoolers had to put together their own work and with the parents or whoever was teaching as a homeschooler. But today we even use the web for homeschooling. So there is a lot of development that keeps on going. And we're going to discuss more about how to use the web and what resources we have available to us. This is Paul Jones, and I am teaching at the First Church of the Brethren in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We do have a program there that we are able to provide a free computer for those who are unable to have one. So this is another way that we have another development reaching out that everybody is able to share in this fantastic way of communication.